Welcome to another episode of Casting Starcraft 2 with Daylag. Today, bringing you a Grandmasters level game on the fantastic map Bel'shir Vestige between MIT's Ender and zoohairZ. Jumping now straight into the action. And up here in red, starting out on the top left hand side, we have MIT's Ender. And on the bottom right hand side, in blue, we have zoohairZ as a Zerg. Now, Bel'shir Vestige is a pretty nice map actually for this matchup. There's a lot of potential opportunities available to both players across the entire course of the game. The two Xel'Naga watchtowers in the middle providing a decent amount of vision while still leaving attack paths up the sides here free and available for use. And already we see the first scouts going out for both players, and a little bit of chat here between Ender and zoohairZ, talking actually about currently the state of the game, as it applies to Heart of the Swarm, since it actually went live at the beginning of this season. Now, at the moment, both players are probably going to be sticking to fairly standard builds. I would like to see some Stargate Oracle Harass come out from MIT Ender here, but depending on, obviously, the build that he's going to go for. Now, this is interesting to note, though, not going, obviously, for the Forge Fast Expand, though the actual double entrances here to the natural prevent this on Bel'shir Vestige. We do see gas already coming down now for MIT's Ender, and it looks like zoohairZ is actually going pool before gas, maybe wanting to play a slightly more aggressive build here. Ender actually moving his probe around at that natural to try and prevent the hatchery from going down, but looking like he wants to come back in for another scout, though he may again try and deny the hatchery here, and I actually quite like that as a choice. It does delay zoohairZ's build somewhat by forcing him to have to obviously deal with the probe before he can actually place that expansion down. But that probe is now gone, and zoohairZ should shortly be starting off a hatchery, but it actually looks like he's going to move this drone out, which is an interesting choice, not actually going for the hatch, which means this will actually be a very late expansion for zoohairZ, if there is actually an expansion at all. We may actually be looking at seeing some one base play, or perhaps even a proxy hatchery over at his opponent's natural or third. No, there we go, the hatchery just going down now on this side here. So that looks like it is actually going to be a drone used for scouting. Cybercore already now getting warp gate research out here for Ender, and chronoing out a Zealot and also a Sentry. Useful for defending that ramp in, but again, not seeing that expansion here, and the drone has got through using the old click to the mineral lines trick to be able to clip through units, unit walkthrough. Very fun trick, used it multiple times myself for scouting. Getting a lot of information here, though that Zealot will be able to hold off those early Ling attacks here, and that Sentry should have no problem picking up that drone. Speed now, coming out for zoohairZ. I actually approve of this choice. It's a fairly big map, so having speed on the Zerg side is pretty useful for making sure that your units can actually get across the map at a decent speed and time here. And we do actually see a Stargate beginning to come down here for Ender. Now, I'm actually really hoping to see Oracle play. I've not yet seen much Oracle play in any of the games that I've been casting or playing, but they can have the absolute potential to wreck an opponent's economy. But instead, he's electing to go Void Ray, so maybe we're looking to see some kind of fast Void Ray here. I'm not too certain that this is a good choice from Ender if zoohairZ is able to scout this at all. Some well-placed spore crawlers will be able to shut that down no problem, and a quick transition into Roach Hydra should also be able to clean that up, and we do see the Roach Warren here. Roach Hydra actually proving to be very strong in Heart of the Swarm, since they gave the Hydralisks a buff to movement off creep, and obviously with the ranged spines upgrade they are capable of taking out Void Rays at pretty much an equal distance with no problem at all. We do see that first Void Ray here now moving out across the map, and hopefully Ender will actually decide to expand behind this. It would certainly be sensible to do so. After all, his opponent is now on 2 bases already, and as a Zerg, zoohairZ is probably going to be looking to be taking a third sometime soon, and possibly even a fourth as well, depending on whether or not he wants to go for 2-base play. And while that Void Ray is almost coming in here, this is a pretty huge attack of Zerglings capable of coming up here and may be able to shut down any potential expansion before it's able to do absolutely anything at all. Ender here only having 2 Zealots and 3 Sentries for defense, but that Void Ray is coming in now and is going to be doing some damage to that hatchery, but there are 2 Queens there. That's more than enough to see that off with no problem. Ender here, getting his wall in started for his natural with 1 forge and 1 pylon, having to burn some energy there on force fields to keep that quite large bulk of lings there out, and already has a second Void Ray available there for a little bit of extra defense. Be interesting to see what tech choices actually zoohairZ takes now that he's certainly seen the Void Rays are there. I mean, he's already got the Spore Crawler in his mineral line, lines, and 2 Queens obviously at the natural, more than enough to be able to deal with any threat. But these Roaches have a tendency to fall quite quickly to a few well-placed Void Rays, given the Void Rays increase damage against armored units using their new Prismatic Alignment ability. And with Void Rays not actually being able to shoot up, that puts them well placed to be able to shut down any kind of early push. And we are actually now seeing some Phoenix here coming out for Ender, which could well be used for some worker harass. It would be good to see some of that actually done in this game. Shutting down a Zerg economy actually can be fairly important early game for helping to delay their tech choices somewhat, and also to help prevent them from getting that huge macro lead that they can get over most other players. Zerg, of course, having the ability to expand very, very quickly. And zoohairZ actually using Burrow here to shut down the attacks from that Void Ray there. Smart choice. Of course, Roaches regenerate very quickly while burrowed, so burrowing all of them is no problem. That one, in fact, healing now, as you can see, very quickly. Lair tech coming out now for zoohairZ, so I am expecting to see here a transition into Roach Hydra with Hydra starting to come out. I mean, he has got all 4 on gas here and is now taking a third, while MIT's Ender here is still only on his 2 bases. Though the Void Ray not actually being used to scout at the moment, though he is sending out a hallucinated Void Ray first, and his actual Void Ray going out as well, although he has just seen this attack here coming in from the side and should be more than prepared to deal with that, having the 2 Void Rays here at his natural with the cannon for defense and a nice tight wall in there with the Zealots. And they're using the Prismatic Alignment ability to absolutely shred those Roaches with no problems at all. zoohairZ actually now getting started on his creep spread. Strong creep spread here could be well placed and important to winning this matchup. Being able to make sure they can reinforce quickly with Hydralisks, which, while they have had a nice speed buff off creep, they can still be rather painfully slow, especially before you get the muscular glands for them to help them move faster. But the Hydralisk Den is there now, and there is the muscular augments coming out now. And already we can see he's also going for the Zerg missile attacks as well, and glial reconstruction, and now 4 Hydralisks on the way here, which will be very important for him here. He should also probably be getting ranged spines sometime soon, and that number of Hydralisks now going up to 10. Looks like MIT's Ender here is actually expecting the Hydras to follow up after these Roaches. Has thrown down his Templar Archives and is getting a Psionic Storm. Very strong against Hydras, as they are classified as light units. A couple of well-placed Psi Storms can absolutely decimate their numbers, what with them being 80 area damage to all units. 2 or 3 well-placed Storms absolutely destroy those weaker Zerg units. We do actually see the Oracle heading out here, perhaps looking to get off some harass or perhaps a little bit of scouting. While I like Oracles, they are absolutely paper thin. You can see there that one absolutely took a huge chunk of damage from that small number of Hydralisks right there that are already moving out over the map. Looks like zoohairZ here knocking down some rocks, probably to make way for a nice reinforcement path around up to his expansion there. Not obviously wanting to limit the ability for Protoss to force field out the units and reinforcement paths. Though this far down on the map, I'm surprised that's actually been done, as it seems a little bit nonsensical to knock down your own rocks in that light, especially as there's not much that can be done here. However, we do see a nice little run by of Lings here past these cannons here at this third base for Ender, and this could do a lot of damage, especially as he's not actually paying attention to his economy here. He is bringing over the army, and only now are the probes being pulled. Though at this point we're now to 8 workers killed here for zoohairZ. So that was quite a fearsome little attack. Will have disrupted Protoss economy somewhat, though the Oracle here coming back over again, and with its revelation ability it does actually act as a detector to pick up those borrowed units with no problem at all. zoohairZ though building up a nice force down here of roaches and hydras, and that is actually looking like a pretty scary army at the moment. It wouldn't actually surprise me to see him push out with this before too long now. And it does look like he is preparing to expand to a 4th base over on this side here, which I approve as a smart choice, as it gives a nice quick path up here easily to the ramp of his opponent's natural, and of course will help with the creep spread somewhat. We do have a scout oracle here for Ender. I feel like this is actually now a waste of minerals on this point. Oracle's early game potential to be very strong, but at this point against those hydralisks they are essentially made of paper and can fall apart quite easily, and throwing away such a essentially an expensive unit. Though we do actually see a Nydus worm coming out here for zoohairZ. It has been seen by the probe here, but whether or not they'll actually be able to react in time, because it is almost finished. He has pulled all his probes to try and deal with it, but it looks like it might be a bit too late. No, the Nydus worm does come up, but is killed by the timely intervention there of that Oracle, and a good probe pull there by Ender. That was a very quick reaction there. That could have been quite dangerous indeed, especially if it had been able to start spewing out roaches and hydralisks directly into Ender's main there. He's shutting down of that tech quite early on, especially with the bulk of his forces located here by his natural, would have been absolutely devastating. So I wonder if zoohairZ will actually try it again, and he is actually putting a Nydus worm here by his opponent's well defended 3rd actually. That's quite a tough wall of cannons to break, though it really depends on exactly how many roaches and hydras he's going to have with this force. Actually looking to knock down these rocks to make it easy to get through, and it has actually been scouted now. The Protoss here and is more than aware that that army is there, looking to knock down these rocks to stop these Ender from being able to force field off very quickly, and now obviously missile attacks too for those ranged units here. Protoss actually working up to Grand Weapons 3, so slightly ahead here in the major upgrades, and those storms absolutely crippling to those hydralisks and roaches there, with a couple of force fields thrown down to slow them down here. It's a nice reaction there by Ender. He has lost a few cannons for that trade, but overall those storms absolutely lethal here. But now as the Protoss army is actually pulled over to the 3rd base here, we do see another Nydus worm getting ready to come up here, but there are actually zealots there to deal with that, so that's probably not going to be too effective. And meanwhile these roaches being absolutely crippled here by this nice force of High Templars for Ender. In fact, that is a lot of High Templars. He needs to really be able to burn through the energy on those before he's going to be able to do anything majorly effective. So right now Ender is probably going to be able to hold this with little to no effort at all. And we do see actually more Nydus worms coming up here inside the main, and sorry, by the natural ramp here, while the primary majority of Ender's army is actually distracted. These roaches here trying to buy time for those Nydus worms to finish up. In the meantime, obviously trying to get this this base here saturated out, but he is actually, zoohairZ is actually now lagging behind on supply. He needs to get another overlord out sharpish, and he does have some more on the way here. And it looks like Ender now going to go and shut down that Nydus worm there, prevent any more Nydus play from that side, and may well be able to finish off these roaches inside of his natural here. All in all, I think that was actually fairly well handled by Ender. He was able to shut down that nice Nydus attack by zoohairZ with little to no problem, and they are actually now fairly equal on supply. And he's going to actually expand behind this, take his own 4th base, which is a smart move. He wants to make sure it at least stays somewhat equal with Zerg economy, Zerg being on 4 bases for quite a while. But these two forces are actually going to bypass one another. Ender now aware of where this army is, but coming in a little bit late here. These Void Rays, though, are going to be absolutely crippling against those Ultralisks, and those Storms absolutely decimating the Zerg here. That's a huge, crushing defeat for zoohairZ, I'd say, in this trade. As certainly as far as Ender's concerned, that's far more efficient, what with the air units there being able to survive the majority of that. While he has lost his ground force of a few Zealots and some High Templars, he did manage to get some Archons out of that, and those Storms were absolutely brutal on zoohairZ's force now. I mean, you can see the supply difference there, 191 to 170 now, as zoohairZ starts to try and remax quickly. But we do actually see another Nydus Worm attempt inside of Ender's base, and it looks like he's not actually aware of this. The bulk of his army, of course, being down by that 4th base, and this will have been seen, but this could be absolutely brutal here, as Hydralisks are coming out here. I mean, if zoohairZ now can absolutely wreck these production buildings for the Zerg player, this could be a case of game over right there. As while Ender's production is still strong, as zoohairZ can take out his while Ender's economy is still strong, as zoohairZ can take out his production, then he won't be able to reinforce. But we do see some DTs here, and with no detection for Zerg, those DTs are going to be able to clean this up no problem. While the gateway here has been lost on a couple of pylons, Ender responding to that absolutely perfectly, reacting very quickly, and managing to stop that destruction in his base there. Meantime, his army here floating around by this 4th base, getting ready to move out again, and we do actually see another Nydus Worm, both in the main and out on the field, though this one shut down by those DTs in short order, and now the Oracle coming in, using that Revelation ability to make it a detector. Oracle's actually proving to be very strong currently. Personally speaking, I'm not too much of a fan of them. I feel like they're very expensive units, but their Envision and Revelation ability can prove very useful in protracted engagements, especially if you couple them with the Tempest units, by being able to force detection on a large amount of enemy units. And again, absolutely crippling Storms, decimating that number of Hydralisks in short order. So those Void Rays, they're able to mop up the heavier armoured Zerg units in short order with absolutely no problems at all. zoohairZ here actually refusing to play against the style and bowing out there as he is defeated. All in all, very well handled game there, I feel, by Ender, performing absolutely perfectly here on Bel'shir Vestige. His usage of Storms to shut down those Hydralisks, very effective, and those fast Void Rays were able to do so much damage to his opponents, mostly Roach, Hydra, and then Ultralisk composition. And Ender's zoohairZ's attempts at the Nydus Worm play could, while potentially for quite successful, I feel that Ender was really able to shine there, showing off some fantastic control, warping in those DTs at his main to be able to shut down those Zerg units without actually having his own forces damaged in the process, being able to really work at holding off those Zerg attacks. So all in all, well played to Ender, and well played to zoohairZ for a very strong Protoss versus Zerg game there on Bel'shir Vestige. I hope you enjoyed this video, and this is Daylac signing out for